So these are basic graphs I'm going to want you to know, especially for your test where you will not have a graphing calculator, right? So y equal x to the fourth is a parabola-ish looking thing. So when I have an added one at the end, I just move it up by 1. So sine of x you are familiar with, right? We're talking about that. Sine goes up between 1 and -1, right? But pi and 2 pi. So then if I'm going to move it up by 2, instead of going up to 1, it's going to go up to 3. The lowest point it will go to is 1, and then 0 will go up to 2. So it's going to go up and then down and then like something like that, where that's 2 pi. Just wanting to make sure you know that this is just the sine graph that moves up by 2 units. So if I have a subtraction at the end, I'm going to move a graph down. So this is an important graph, this x to the 2/3. And so to move it down by 1 would look like that. So 1 over x graph, you know, is a hyperbola, and asymptotes are important. And then what does this do? This says you're going to shift it down by 3. So that means the horizontal asymptotes are going to be there at -3, and that's what the graph will look like. That subtracts a number is inside, you're going to move to the right. So here's root x. And so then root x minus 4 is going to move to the right by 4, look like that. Then y equal ln of x looks like this. Really important graph, crosses at 1, has a vertical asymptote. So if I'm going to move it to the right by 1, that means this point here changes to 2, and it means the vertical asymptote changes to 1, and then the graph will look like that. Really important to be able to know how to do this. So let's look at this. X cubed, which I know is this graph. And so if it's x plus 2 cubed, that moves it to the left by c units. So it's going to be back here and do something like that. 1 over x squared, you know, looks like this, right? And asymptotes are important, vertical and horizontal. And so what this one says is you're going to move it to the left by 4. So that means the vertical asymptote is going to be at -4. The horizontal doesn't change. So it's going to be here and here. So looking at y equal ln of x, which you know looks like this, crosses at 1, vertical asymptote. The negative on the inside reflects it across the y-axis. Vertical asymptote doesn't change, it stays the same, but it flips over so that this is the point -1. So the graph of y equal e to the x, you know, looks like this, crosses here at 1, and it does have a horizontal asymptote. So then if I flip it over the y-axis, this point doesn't change, and it just comes down, and this horizontal asymptote doesn't change either. This negative in the front flips it about the x-axis. So x to the 1/3 looks like that. So to take this one, you're going to flip it about the x-axis. So it's going to just look like that, right? This part here comes down here. This part here comes up here. So 1 over x cubed is like 1 over x. So that's got a vertical and a horizontal asymptote. And then this negative in the front is going to keep the asymptotes the same, only it's going to flip it over the x-axis. All right, we'll stop there.